Hi, I'm Julie. Welcome back to our Hobby Maker tutorial channel. Today I'm going to teach you how to make a triple diamond fold card. So today I'm going to show you how to make a triple diamond fold card. Bit of a mouthful there. So what you will need is 3 or 4 sheets of the same colour cardstock and also a coordinating piece of pattern paper, and then you'll want some embellishments or some stamps or something to decorate up the diamonds when we've put them onto the card. So first thing I want to show you to do is how to create the base of your diamond fold card. So we want to trim down 2 pieces of card to 5.5 inches by 11 inches. So I'm just going to do that. And then what we want to do then is score at 2 3/4 inches or 2.75 inches all the way along. So I'm going to pop my card in. So I'm going to put my first score line there. Then I'm going to slide that along to 2 3/4. I'm going to do the same. I'm going to repeat that process again. And then that's going to give us our 3 score lines. So then the next thing we want to do is pop your cardstock in, and we want to just pop a little notch at 2 3/4 inches on that first panel and on the last panel. So just flip it round and do the same thing. So if I just pop a little notch there, so whether you can see that, I've just got a little score mark there, because what we want to do then is trim in a triangular motion. So if we line up this bottom, the first score line, with that centre mark that we just made, and we're just going to bring our paper trimmer in and we're just going to cut that off. We're going to rotate the card and we're going to do the same process. So just line up your score line with your centre point. Keep your hand to keep it steady and just run that off, and it's going to create that triangular point. So we're going to do that on this side of a card as well. We've then got our fold. So what we're going to do is fold our centre point like so. Fold that one back and then fold that one back, just like so. And then we're going to repeat that process on a second piece of cardstock. You don't have to be too firm with your folds at this point, because we're going to be manoeuvring them slightly when we pop our top diamond panels onto them. So if you just put those to one side, and then what you need to do next in the same colour cardstock is cut yourself 3 squares at 4 by 4 inches. Just going to do that. Right, so there you'll see we've got our 3 diamonds that are cut ready to go. And just show you how to pop this together. What we need to do with our folds like so, this is the middle of your card, because we're going to actually attach these two together. So where we've got that currently going that way, we just want to fold that back and just burnish that down and do the same on that one there, because that then is what's going to create the centre point to join our cards together to create the 3 diamonds on the front. What I tend to do at this point is get yourself some thick in width double-sided tape and just pop yourself a piece along the centre. You don't have to be too precise, just as long as you've got enough to stick the one side to the other. So you'll see mine's not exactly straight, but all I want to do at this point is just make sure that that centre diamond is together, sort of flush, so that then if I just press that down, I know that it just makes it easier then for me to attach one of my diamonds to it. So then I'm going to bring this in, and then you'll see that's going to cover that, so you're not going to see anyway, but it just helps at this point to bring those 2 pieces of card together. So what we want to do, I'm going to pop some glue onto one of your 4-inch squares. So I'm just going to put my glue all over that. And then what I'm going to do is bring in my pokey tool, and I'm just going to lift the top layer off that double-sided tape. And then I'm going to then bring in my 4-inch square that I've just popped my glue on, and I'm just going to stick that in place, pressing down all the way around that, just to make sure that's secure, all secure. So you can give it a press down from this position too, just to make sure you're secure in place. So that's created our first diamond in the centre. So then what we want to do next is then we're going to stick our other diamonds to each end of this. So at this point we need to just pop the adhesive onto this triangle and this triangle. Actually, I'll use glue for this. If I just pop my glue down, and then I'm going to bring in one of my 4-inch squares and just stick that onto that triangle. And if you're using a glue, just sort of like hold it in position for a few minutes and make sure the edge of your diamond is flush with the edge of the cut where your score line is. So we're just going to press that down, and then I'm going to repeat that process on my other end. So again, pop your glue down onto the triangular part of the fold, and then I'm just going to bring in my last of the 4-inch square and just line that up again, and just make sure that you're in position and happy with where your placement is before you sort of press down too firmly. So I know then that that is going to work. So that is the base of our triple diamond fold. So next thing we need to do is decorate it up. You can decide, it's personal choice how you decorate this up. I'm going to put 3 different elements on each of the diamonds. You can also decorate the inside panels here with some pattern paper, which we're also going to do. So the next thing I'm going to do is trim that down. So what I want, I'm going to bring in some coordinating paper, and I'm just going to trim this down. So I'm just going to trim down my cardstock to create 3 3/4 squares. So because I want these to sit in my diamonds, so I'm just going to do 3 of those, and then I'm also going to cut myself 4 panels, 5 1/4 inch by 2.5 inches. So then that's going to give me what I need to be able to put my backing papers on. But what I also want to cut out is 3 squares that are then going to sit in each 3 of the diamonds, so that I can put my toppers onto those to create my decoration on the front of my card. So I'm going to cut those down to 2 3/4 inch squares. So I just trim those down. That gives me then 3 of those to be able to pop on the front of my card. Then I'm going to bring these in. So first thing I would probably do is decorate your inside panels, because that's probably going to be easier. Again, a wet glue is great for adding things, papers onto a project once you've popped it together, because you have that little bit of wiggle time to be able to make sure that your panels are exactly where you want them. So if you just pop it in and then just manoeuvre it round, just so you've got an even border all the way around it, and then you can sort of give it a press down with your hand and just make sure it's secure in place. So I'm going to repeat that process on all 4 of the panels. You'll see on those panels there, you could add some images into that and then create your toppers on the front. So I'm now going to stick the same paper on each of the diamonds. So again, I'm just going to bring my glue in, just pop those down. And the good thing about using a paper such as the dotty, and maybe something that's worth considering when you're popping this together, with a dotty design, it's going to work either way, because obviously when you're going onto your diamond, you're rotating that paper. So if it was a pattern, depending on what it was, if it was text or something, a floral design, obviously as you turn it, that pattern's going to turn, so it would be going in a different direction to the back panels. So maybe consider that when you're thinking about what you're actually going to use on this card. But something like a spot works regardless of whichever way you're going to be placing it down. Now is where the fun bit is with the decorating. So you can be popping whatever you want onto this. Like I say, you could be using die cuts, pre-cut toppers, papers. You could be stamping some flowers or butterflies and decoupaging things up on the fronts of these. It's entirely your choice. I've cut myself those 3 mats in the matching cardstock that we used to make the card. So I'm going to use those, but I've also, this paper is from one of the American crafts pads that we sell on the Hobby Maker website, but incorporated into the pads, not only do you get pattern papers, but you also get these paper toppers on sheets. As you can see, I've already used quite a few of these. So I quite like the 2 birds on this. So what I'm going to do is just trim those, and then I'm going to use those on each end of my diamonds. And then also in the paper pad, we've got some sentiments. So I quite like this little home sweet home. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave myself still a bit of a white border. So I'm just going to fussy cut around this. So you'll see I've just left myself a little white border around there. And then what I'm also going to do, on these papers, I've got 2 flowers. So again, I'll show you. I'm just going to snip those off quickly. And this is the fun thing with papers and paper pads. You'll think you're going in one direction, and then you'll have your creative light bulb will go on and you'll go off in a different direction. So because I can see these, I've got these 3 flowers. What I'm actually going to do is fussy cut around these 2. So this time, rather than leave a border, I don't want this sort of dark paper, backing paper that it's on. I'm actually going to fussy cut it, so I'm removing all of that background. But this will just give you an idea of how, if you're somebody that's new to using paper pads or papers, you can get more out of your papers than just sticking them down as a layer on a card. You can actually be cutting elements out of these papers and using them as toppers, which is something I like to do. And you can paper piece and things like that. But again, like this video and subscribe to this channel, and you'll find that we're going to be covering a whole array of crafting techniques. So paper piecing and stamping, stenciling, they're all things that we're going to be covering across the videos. So that's just that one. And then I'm just going to finally do this last flower. There we go. Now I've got all the elements I need now to be able to decorate the front of my card. What I'm going to do is, first thing I'm going to do is put my 3 card panels onto the front, because I know they're all going to pretty much go in the same place. So if I stick those down, then I can then go for the decoration. So if I pop that one in the middle, again, sort of just manoeuvre it around until you're happy that it's in place and you're kind of even. We'll do the same thing on the other 2. There we have our 3 panels then with our centerpieces in. So then for decorating, I've got my 2 birds, which I'm going to put either end, because I quite like that because it's symmetrical, because I feel like this design kind of needs a little bit of symmetry. I'm just going to find myself a little foam pad, because I actually want to just add a little bit of dimension to these. Again, you can sort of decide yourself where you want. You could have this so it sits straight, or you can have it on an angle to match the diamond. I quite like it sort of sitting flush with the diamond, so I'm just going to position him so he's facing that way. And then with my other one, which I'm going to have on the opposite end, this time I'm going to face him going the opposite direction. Just sort of like balances it out. So then I'm going to bring my middle section in there, and I've got my little sentiment that says home sweet home. Another top tip, if you are wanting to use foam tape but you're still sort of learning and not confident about sticking it direct, if you use some of the glue like I've been using, what you can do is, if I just show you, you can pop a little bit on top of that foam. So you're still getting the dimension of using the foam tape, but when you put it down now, rather than it sticking straight to that card, you've got a little bit of wiggle time still now to be able to move that around to make sure you're happy with the position. And then if you press it down now, then that's going to stick in place. That's just a little tip if you're not confident with sticking something straight down onto a project, which when you're first starting out, I was the same myself. So then I'm going to bring in my 3 flowers that I fussy cut. So what I want to do, this is something called a ball tool. They're handy to have in your stash for all kinds of things, whether it's putting score lines into things, folding things up, but they're also great for if you've got something like this where you've fussy cut, just giving a bit of shape to something. So what I'm going to do, you can use a piece of foam or you can just use the palm of your hand. So I'm just going to pop that flower into the palm but face down, and then I'm going to use the bigger part of my ball tool and I'm just going to roll it all over that flower, and you'll see it starts to naturally curl in the palm of your hand. So then if I turn it back over and just press where those leaves are, you'll see it's added some dimension, and when you pop it down then it'll make it pop off your card. So I'm just going to do the same on all 3 of the flowers. So just roll it all around. You haven't got to worry about being too fussy. As soon as it starts to sort of curl, just turn it over, and then with this one, if you wanted to, you could pop the centre, you could just put a pressure there and then the leaves will lift off. So again, I'm going to pop a little bit of foam pads now into the centre of those. When you're deciding on layouts of how you decorate your cards, sometimes before you take the backing off, it's nice to sort of place them where you think you want them to go. I'm going to go ahead and stick that one slightly there, and then I'm going to kind of overlap these 2 because I sort of like that style where naturally, obviously if they were outside growing, there'd be one behind another, they wouldn't all be front facing. And I'm sort of covering slightly over my sentiment because I kind of like that as well. So that just shows you, and you can see now where we sort of shape those with the ball tool, it's just give them an extra little bit of dimension that makes them pop off the cardstock. If I then am thinking I might want to add some gems into this now, or pearls. Actually, I think I'm going to bring some pearls in because I feel like they're quite in keeping with this kind of like a country kitsch kind of vibe. So maybe I'm thinking pearls might work better for this. So I'm just going to use my pokey tool to pick some up, and I think I'm going to pop one there. As I've said before, I quite like things in 3s, so I think I'm going to lay 3 down in this corner. I've sort of put 3 there. I'm going to put 3 in this corner going that way because I kind of feel like you need, when you're popping things down on your layouts of your cards, it just adds some balance to your card making if you've got something in an opposite corner. Otherwise you feel like you'd have a lot going on up here and not a lot down here. So you'll see when I've popped these 3 down, I'm just going to move that one. Again with these, you can kind of, if you're quick, you can lift them up if you're not happy with the initial position that you put them in. But that just shows you, I've popped 3 in each corner. So then if I turn this round now, you'll see we've created our triple diamond fold card and decorated it up using our papers from our paper pad and a few gems. And then if I show you now, if you are then wanting to pop that into an envelope, if we bring this first diamond over the middle one, pop that in, press that flat, and then we do the same this side, then that then will slide into your envelope perfectly, and then we just pop it back out and then it'll stand perfectly and make a lovely card for someone special.